Yes. Hi. Hi, Bobby. Hi, Priya. Am I audible to you guys? Yes. Very good. You have joined very late. What happened, Bobby? Yeah, it's just a request that you guys please join on time. Otherwise, it's very difficult to start the session. I can understand the times are a bit odd, but we do not have any option. Okay, you forgot? It's fine, no problem. Yeah. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So let me share my screen so that we can move forward. That what we have to cover in today's class. Yeah, it's okay. No worries. I hope the screen is visible. So what we are going to do in today's session, we are going to cover a few of the topics, which include document object model, manipulations, then web storage, APIs, fetch, how to fetch the APIs, how to store it on local storage, the session storage, and some hands-on practice that you can do later, right? This is what we are going to cover in today's class. It's okay. I hope I'm clearly audible, right? Vishwas, Parth, Priya, Bobby. Are you comfortable now? Shall we begin? All of you? Yes, perfect. That's great. Okay. So in this session, we are going to cover few of the topics that has been mentioned on your screen. I hope it's visible to everyone. So the first thing that we are going to talk about the key concepts in the document object model. These are the things that we are going to talk about. So we are going to use a few of the functions. That one function we have is the document dot query selector, right? I hope you remember that in the basics of this JavaScript, you must have performed few of the things to capture the data from the various queries that you write, or to get the data from ID through class, and few other methods are there, right? So we are going to use few of the functions today, and more importantly, we are going to use it efficiently in order to get the data and use of this document object model through this query selector and by ID. Then another thing we'll be talking about, because we are here talking about to get it more efficiently, right? So for this, we are going to talk about cache. We are going to talk about this avoid inline event handlers. We'll be talking about updating only when it is needed with like minimal reflow or the repaint, and we are going to use the event delegation whenever it is possible, right? So these are the things that we need to take care of as we talk about this DUM. So in one of in one way, we can also say that what is DUM? This is the document object model. The point is that for what purpose actually we use that? It is a programming interface that lets the JavaScript interact with the HTML, right? Because we are writing a code on the HTML. We are writing a code, and this with the help of this uh, editor, we write few of the things over there. But whatever the things that we write, that will be captured in the browser, right? But this is static. This is not functioning anything, right? That is the reason we have added JavaScript, which makes it of any website we talk about dynamic, adding functionality into that, right? Now there are various concepts we are having in the JavaScript referring to this document object model manipulations. through programming interface we can achieve that, right? And it helps the JavaScript to interact with the HTML code that we have written, and more importantly with CSS also, right? Cascading sheet styles, which helps us in giving the we'll say the different colors, the formatting, all those things that we have to provide. So this document object model manipulations means we'll talk about that using JavaScript to dynamically change the content or structure or style of any web page, right? So through this, we will be we will be able to achieve to change the content or the style of any web page, more importantly, dynamically, right? This is the reason we are using this document object model manipulations, right? And we use query selector, get element by ID, but we use it very wisely, right? We avoid repetitive queries. Cache references we use means, I hope you also heard about this term as cache memory, right? Or we call it as cache. Some also say that, but yeah, we say it cache memory. Okay. Now, what is the purpose? Obviously, it just giving you the reference of the cache memory. It actually lies between, we'll say, your main memory and it lies actually between your main memory and through which it need to send the request, right? So whenever you send a request, the CPU first of all will not go into the uh, storage, which were, yes, it is the part of the storage, but that lies in between. So what it does, it first of all going to look for the cache memory, right? So it refers to, we call it actually as translation looker side buffer. That is where it is the part where it will search the data and just get it quickly accessible. Only the data which we have opened it, right? We have already seen that that's get stored in here. So here also we are giving the reference that whatever the variables, elements that we are going to use in our document object model, the cache references are going to store the data of that so that it takes less time to search. Every time we send a request to the CPU, it goes and search in the secondary memory also, right? And if it is not been there, yes, then we get different kind of, we'll say, through pages it assess the data. Okay. So the point is that we need to uh, store this document object elements in the variables, and that's where we are going to store it cache just for the faster access, right? Because we don't want to waste that and we want the things to be happen at more faster rate. This is one of the reason that we use cache references. And more importantly, we do is minimum document object model updates. We only updates when needed to reduce the reflow. Otherwise, we don't do that, right? And we are talking here about dynamically changing the content. Now you must be asked, what if somebody has to manually change the styles? Yes, we can also change the styles manually, but for that we have to use class list for toggling purpose that we can use. But uh, the document object model manipulations that we are going to use, that will help us dynamically change the content. But in case if somebody has to use uh, it manually, you can also do that, right? So the now point is how actually we are going to use this query selector or get element by ID. It's okay, Madhu. It's fine. Hi, how are you, Madhu? Are you good? Fine. Okay. Tomorrow is your last exam. You will be okay. It's fine. No worries. We are left with few classes. Also, you can watch the recording in case you have any doubt. You just let me know. Okay. Right. So today what we are talking about is, Madhu, we are talking about these concepts that we are going to cover. The first we are talking about, Madhu, is document object model. I hope you know what is document object model, right? So we'll be talking about this document object model manipulations, okay? In which we are going to talk about two things. One is query selector, and we'll be talking about how to use this get element by ID uh, avoiding repetitive queries, okay, use of this cache reference or minimizing the document object model updates or using the class list for which helps us in dynamically change the content also. And yes, instead, if we want, we can also do manually, but yeah, this is what we are going to use with the help of this document object model manipulations, right? So we are also going to add some event listeners to the parent elements, right? While we are talking about that, we want to change the things dynamically, okay? And we call this concept as event delegation. So this is what we are talking about in today's session, that how we are going to work on this document object model manipulations. And these are the key concepts that we have discussed, that when to use this event delegation, okay, when to do updations, we need to avoid inline event handlers, and we need to make use of this cache document object model elements, right? This is what we're talking about. So now let's do an example, and with the help of that example, let's try to understand how we can use this get element by ID, and we can change some of the styling and reference with the help of this document object model manipulations, okay? So let me just save the file for this. This is the first file, and today's date is 19th underscore file. So let me have this HTML document, HTML page. Let me save it that we have to make. So we are talking about DOM manipulations. Okay, right? And we need to implement that. So we have to write the script. For this, I'm using the script tag. I hope you're listening, right, Madhu? Is it fine? Madhu, Bobby, and other participants, Parth. Is it okay? Yes, perfect. Great. So we are going to write the script here. Okay. And then we are then what actually we are going to do, we are actually going to add an event listener, right? Like for example, you talk about I want to do some calculations on a website. For that we need to add a button. Like if I'll click on that button, the button will do the calculations. But point is how the button would know. The button will definitely have some functionalities that obviously we write in terms of programming that we say. But what is that sensing that if I'll click on this button, how would it know that, right, Madhu? This is the reason, if I click on somewhere, how would it know that on the web page where I've clicked that? This is the reason we add, yes, perfect, very good. We got all the tags right. That is, button is also one of the tag. We need to fetch the data. We want it to perform some operation. Now we need to get it. Either we get it by ID, we get it by class. We have few other things which are there. Like I was talking about query selector, right? And the point is I want to dynamically change, let's suppose, styling of some content. I'll click somewhere. I click on the button and I want it to perform the task. But how would it sense that I've clicked on this button? For this, we use what event listeners we do, right? Like click is there, double click is there, right click is there. Okay, so many things are there. So to that button, I'm going to add the functionality. I'm going to add the event listener, and then on the event listener, like click, double click, or whatever we want. Yes, we are going to add that, and then we are going to write the logic that this is what I want to change. Okay. So this is what we are expecting to do. And this is nothing, just document object model manipulations or toggling that we are doing, with which we are dynamically changing the content, adding the event listener, and get that manipulation done through get element by ID or query selector, or that we can do, right? So here in the body part, I'm just taking a tag here, h2, for which I'm just defining some ID and just giving the name as ID, as just giving the name ID, just giving the ID as hello. Okay, the name of the ID as hello. You can give any other name, that's totally fine. So I'm just writing some content here, hello. And I would also like to take another tag, that is my button tag, right? For which I want to do what? I want to generate ID and just giving the name as toggle button. Okay, just for the reference, it's not for any purpose, right? And just giving the title here, toggle. Okay, this is. So I've got one H2 tag on which some content is written, and I've got a button on my HTML page which has some ID toggle button, and that content is written. Is it okay? So now what I want to do, I want to add functionality. Obviously, this is why we have got the button. So I need to first get the data from this toggle button, and I just need to get the data from this hello also. Okay, this ID, two IDs I've got. For this, I'm going to use document dot get element by ID. And what is the ID? Hello is the ID. Second, document dot get element by again ID. Second ID is what? Toggle button. Okay, and I'm defining two variables, constant v1 to store the data from one, constant v2 to get the data and store it in v2 variable. I got two. Okay, you want to give any other name, that's also fine. Like you can give the name as title, you can give the name as toggle, whatever you like. They all are valid names, right? Until unless they're not starting with underscore or anything, right? This is what we want. Your screen is not visible. No, please check it once. I hope my screen is visible. Madhu, is it visible? Yeah. Bobby, you just refresh it once. Yes. Is it okay? Yeah. Okay now. Perfect. Is it okay, Madhu? I hope you are understanding. I'm just taking a tab in which some content is there. Okay, Bobby, I've taken a button, and the button is going to perform some task. So I'm going to fetch the data from both the IDs, but the point is how the button is going to, if I'm going to click on the button, how would it know that, right? That is the point. So for this, uh, let me just give the name as BTN so that it would be easy for me to understand also, right? So what I'm going to do, to this button, I'm going to add event listener. Is it okay, Madhu? Right? Okay, Bobby. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add event listener. And what is that event listener? It is click. That whenever I'm going to click on the button, what task it is going to perform. For that, we need to add the functionality. And the functionality is what? Yes, display. Okay. Right. This is what. So for functionality, we are going to write the functions, and that is what we are writing. So title dot style dot display. Okay. Equals to title dot style dot display. Okay. Right. I'll let you know what actually I want to do. Let me just complete it. Okay. Let me write it first of all. Let me just complete it. Let me put semicolon. Okay. And we got semicolon. Yeah. Okay. Let me just explain. So on the button where we are assessing that, we have added event listener. Okay, Madhu, Bobby, right? And event listener is click. And what we want, this is the title. Is it okay? This is the title in which I'm getting the data hello DOM. It's styling. I am changing. Okay, display. I'm changing the display of the styling. What? To a different block. Okay, right? This is I want. None. If it is none, change to block. Otherwise, change to none. This is what I want. Is it okay? So this is the functionality I've added. So once you're going to add that functionality, you're going to hide it. You're going to see it. Okay. None means I'm making the content not visible. This is what I want. Is it okay? That is what I'm looking to do. So let me open this in the browser again and let me show it to you. I hope the screen is visible, Madhu, right? Okay. So my content is there. The button is there. I'm going to click on that. So what it has done, it has changed the style of the text and displayed none because I don't want to show it. If it is none, if I click on that, it will block. It will show in the block. You see? So this is what we wanted. We are dynamically changing the content with the help of document object model manipulations. And we are just using this button with the help of event listener. And we have performed the task. Is it okay? Is it making sense to you guys? Yeah. Can you show the code? Yes, yes, Madhu, definitely. I'll share the code. I'll give you some time also so that you can have a look on the code and you can understand. See, Madhu, right? This is the button on which this is the BTN variable in which I'm storing the data, right? On that, we have added the event listener. Event listener is click. I can add DBL click also. That means what will happen? That will make it work when I double click on the button, right? So this is my click event. What I want the content which is stored in title variable, styling. I want to display. What if it is equals to comparing the value actually, right? We are comparing the value here. If you see here, right? I'm comparing the value. If it is equals to, we use triple equals to here, right? To compare. If it is equal to none, then change it to block. If it is block, change it to none. This is what we are doing here, right? Now with this, what happens? If it is true or false, accordingly, it will show the data here and make it work. So this is what we have done. None to block or block to none. Okay. So Bobby, others, you take 2-3 minutes. See, implement it on your side. Once you are done, just let me know. We'll move forward to the second one. Is it okay? We'll move forward to this web storage APIs. That what is this local storage or session storage? Okay. If we'll get the time, that's fine. If not, rest of the things we'll do in the next class. Okay. I'll just want you guys to take 2 minutes or 2-3 minutes, try it out and let me know if you have any doubt or any confusion in that. Is it okay? Yeah, just let me know once you guys are done with this. Okay. Then we'll move forward. Is it okay? Once you are done with that, just let me know, then we'll move forward. Okay, Bobby, let me just get it from, let me just get the acknowledgement from Madhu. Okay, what other participants in the class? Okay, perfect. So second thing we are going to talk about is web storage API. Now, have you heard about this word API? What is API? Anyone in the class? Application program interface, right? If I'm not wrong, right, Madhu? Right, Bobby? Perfect. So what is web storage APIs? What they actually do? That is first of all we need to know. So they actually allow the web application. Obviously, you see, we talk about uh, creating websites with this HTML, JavaScript, CSS, right? And more importantly, now we have got Bootstrap also, which are there. Okay. So as we talk about this web storage, obviously, if you see many a times that you logged in some of the websites, you search for some content, right? On a browser, on any web page that you see, they keep on collecting some data also, right, Madhu, Bobby? Okay. Now, once they collect the data through that web interface, but where they are going to store that? The important is they are going to store in the web storage APIs, which allows these websites to store the data. Obviously, not physically, we are talking about, right? Because for physically, we need to get the database connectivity and then we need to shift it also, right? And that it's not possible. Yes, very good. This is what we are talking about in the form of cookies, right? That's where the data got stored. And sometime also we might have seen many a time people says if some of the things are not working, you just clear the cache, delete the cookies, okay? Because the data actually got stored there. So the web storage APIs allows the web application to store the data locally where in the user's browser without using the server. The two type of storage that we have, one is local storage and other one we have is the session storage, right? Now you might have seen different data sectors in which they store the data. Like you talk about arrays, they store the data um, in a homogeneous way, right? Okay, they store the data, mm, similar kind of the data that's what we say, right? Homogeneous data, okay, and they stored on contiguous memory location, continuous memory location, right? That means none of the space can be empty in there. Then we got linked list also, right? They store the data in the form of we'll say pointers also, right? That particular node gets divided into two parts. One, they store the pointer and other one data, right? And the next nodes are being connected with each other through these pointers only. So both store the data as keep. Now the pointers we are talking about these two type of storage that we are having. Now are they going to now data is of different forms, right? One we talk about structured data which gets stored in the form of um, we'll say like rows and columns, right? There's another kind of data we say unstructured data is there, right? Like we talk about some of the examples like we have we write emails, the content present in that, which can also be the part of semi-structured data also, right? But in the real world, if you talk about like your ACs are there, which are collecting the data through sensors, they are storing some data there, right? They store the data that is unstructured data. Okay. Yes, SQL is one example. Very good, Madhu, of storing the data. We'll say structured data, right? MongoDB is the example that actually stores the data in unstructured way, right? Um, this this is what we follow. But here, if I'll talk about this local storage or session storage, which we have, in which applications data gets stored, how is it in the tabular format? Is it any other form? No, it actually stores the data in the form of a key value pair. That means for any data that we are storing, we'll have a key, and the key should be unique. Okay. But one more important point need to remember here is that all the keys and values are always string, not in any form of numbers. Okay. They are always present in the form of a string, right? So local storage, yes, is one data mm, which persists even after the browser or tab is closed or reopened, right? That means it is not like uh, it is not like the data, like we talk about RAM now. Like for example, if I'm using a word and if I'm not saved the file, for example, we were talking about the data which is stored in RAM will not get saved, right? Similarly, similarly, if I'll talk about secondary data, right? Once we save the data over there, it get permanently stored over there. We open, we'll switch off the laptop, we switch it on, it will stay there. The local storage is one in which the data still persists even the browser or tab is closed. So you open, right? The data is stored until explicitly deleted. Okay. Like for example, it will be deleted by the user itself, right? That is what we are saying. Deliberately we are deleting that. Okay. And one good thing about this local storage, whatever the data is being stored here, Madhu, okay, Bobby, that will be shared across all the tabs or the windows of the same origin. Same origin means we talk about same domain or we talk about same port, right? Like, there are mm, like multiple devices which share the data with each other. They use different protocols actually, right? Like we talk about file transfer protocol, this HTTP protocol, okay? And each one of these protocol have a different port number, right? Because we require port addressing also. SMTP, yes, very good, right? Now we have more than 66,666, I guess, if I'm like not wrong. The number is very close to that. More than this, we have port numbers which are there, right? Because from two devices, we share the data. We can know that from this IP address data is coming. But for which application the data is coming, like for SMTP, there's a different request. For FTP, there's a different request. The HTTP, there's a different request. How would it know that from which app for which application the data is coming, right? For this, it is important to know the origin, right? This is the reason we do port addressing, right? But good part here is, yes, in the local storage, the entire all the data is shared across the tabs or the windows which of same origin or same port, right? You can, for example, a use case where you can store that, yes, saving your user preferences like theme, languages, shopping carts, data, etc. These are the things you these are such of the cases for which you can use this local storage, right? The point is how we are going to use that. For local storage, yes, we follow some of the code that we need to write. Okay, this is what we say. So this is the JavaScript for the local storage that we need to add one whenever we are going to use with the HTML. Okay. Second. Yeah. So we have this local storage. Obviously, we need to store in a data storage that will have some obviously username. Okay. So this is a local storage that we are going to define there, and we are going to set the item stating the username. Okay. Where we want to set. It will be different obviously for different users, but this is how it is going to be. Just 1 second. Let me put the charging. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry. Okay. So what we are doing here is, Madhu, yes, we are using this local storage. This is the JavaScript code that we are going to add, right? We are going to set the item and we are going to set the username in which we need to send the data. Then on this local storage, two functions that we are using, set item and get item. Okay. In case if we want to remove the item, remove the username, we want to clear all the keys, we can also use that, right? Okay. But the important part is, yes, we are saving like some preferences, shopping cart data, some whatever the data that we need to store. Yes, we are going to store on the local storage. So we are going to set the items stating this is the username on which we want to store the data. Now this is a key in which I'm storing the data, and I told you that it should be a string itself, string only, right? This is why we are using string here. Then on the local storage, if you want to access the key in which the data is being stored, we use get item. And in case we want to remove that item, yes, we use remove item function and we state the username with which we remove all the keys by using a clear function, local storage dot key. Second kind of storage that we use. Now this is local storage. Even my browser tab is closed, still data will remain there. Okay, Madhu, right? But somehow we want to use another storage, that is session storage. In session storage, what it is, the data is available for the current browser only, right? Like for the current session when you are being active, then only do you just want to use temporary, right? We say. So this is the session data that we using, right? Okay. Sometime you also happens that you must have logged into some of the websites, and by mistake you might have closed that website, but next time you are again opening that website, you have to log in again, right? Now that's a session storage because the login that you have done, the data that is being stored, that was being stored in a session, right? Like most of the companies or the banking purpose for which we are using internet banking, all those, they're using session storage actually, right? Because we don't want the data to be stored mm, permanently, obviously, right? For the particular session, it has been active. Yes, we use this session storage. The data will remain available only for current browser tab. It will get cleared automatically whenever your tab is closed, okay? And this data will not shared with some other tabs or windows, even if they're from same site. So this is a temporary session storage data that we use to store, and this is how we use that. Is it okay? Yes, for this we also use some of the code. Mm, yeah, again, similarly for that we use set item, we use get item, we use remove item if we want to clear that, right? So similar way we are going to use, but here the point is temporary session data will be stored, such as step-by-step form progress, right? And or we say temporary UI state. So for this we use this step and we mention the number also with that, right? With which we are storing the data. But that needs to be done step by step only. Is it okay? So if we have to do a comparison on the basis of the things that we have done so far, then local storage, yes, it keeps on storing the data until you manually delete that. But with session storage, you close the tab, data will get deleted. With local storage, data will remain or shared among all the we'll say tabs, but not with session storage. What is the maximum allowed size? That might can vary from about browser to browser, but generally from 5 to 10 MB you can store on the local storage. But with session storage, only 5 up to 5 MB data you can store, right? Yes, both the data are synchronous. It's not like asynchronous, like you are changing some values and it will be updating after some time. No, it will happen at the same time, synchronous, right? Okay. So these are few of the important points that we use for this local storage and session storage. Okay, this is what we do. For this, obviously, we have to do some example, but I think we'll not have sufficient time that will be able to complete it today. So this we will complete in the next class. For this again, simple, you have to just do what? Yes, we'll be taking few of the methods. We'll be assessing the data and we'll be storing on the local storage whenever we want to add some functionality, right? That way we'll be able to add in the next class also. Is it okay? So this is what we are expecting to do in the next class. Second, we are also left with one more topic, that is fetch APIs and this Axios. This also we are going to cover in the next class, right? Okay. So what is fetch API? This is I hope you remember a topic that we have done a promise, right? So fetch is one of the function that we use to return a promise, and Axios is one of the library which is available to us in the JavaScript, provides automatic parsing of the JSON data, right? And better at handling the errors that we might can have in our programming code. Okay. So these are the things that we are going to do in the next class, with which we'll understand how we catch the error or we handle that, right? And how it is going to return a promise in case we have that. So this is what we can cover in the next class. Okay. I hope it is fine, whatever we have done in today's session. I hope it was okay. We due to the late joining of the students, we might not be able to get enough time today. But I hope that tomorrow everyone is joining on time, and we will be completing this topic on time, and then we'll be moving forward with the rest of the things. Okay. So that's it from my side for today's session. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care, and we'll meet again tomorrow. Okay. Thank you. Just one request for to everyone. Please join on time so that we start the class on time. Is it okay?